Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hopefully the lighting and everything is fine. This is my first time filming upstairs without my lighting, so I'm just using the natural light coming in. I feel like it's a bit orange, but hopefully it's fine. So today we are going to be talking about the things that you guys need to do if you're coming to Sydney. So Sydney is one of those cities that you could literally spend months in and not see everything, but most people don't do that. So these are just the main things to hit if you are coming for like a few days, a week, even a couple weeks. I'm obviously not going to cover everything, so if you guys also have recommendations for people, leave them in the comments below. Okay, so the first thing, you obviously can't come to Sydney without seeing the Opera House, and while seeing the Opera House you will also see the Harbour Bridge because they're both in the Circular Quay area. So those are two really iconic structures, I guess you could say, in Sydney. Those are the two most obvious, and I suggest having a drink either at Opera Bar, or when you're there, if there's no cruise ship in the harbor, I suggest going to the Squire Landing for a drink because you get like the full view of the bridge and the Opera House, and it's just so pretty. But yeah, if there is a cruise ship, which there usually is if you're here around the tourist time, then Opera Bar is a good place to have a drink, although they are very expensive, so you'll probably just be having one. And then Bondi Beach obviously is the next big tourist attraction that you guys need to see. So if you're gonna see one beach in Sydney, see Bondi. I know a lot of people don't like Bondi, especially if they're from Australia, just because it is so busy, but it's a tourist beach for a reason. Like when my parents got here and we like did the whole walk down from Coogee to Bondi, which I'll talk about in the next point, and we got to Bondi and we had seen a bunch of different beaches, and when we got to Bondi, literally like you come around the corner and you see it, and both of my parents were like, oh, it is so big and stunning. Like it looks exactly like you see in photos, but bigger. And then the next thing that I would say you guys do, which you can kind of do at the same time, is see icebergs or go to icebergs. You can actually pay, it's only $7 I believe, to swim at the icebergs pool. So that is like the iconic pool with like Bondi in the background that you see in like all the postcards, all the Instagram shots. It's so good and it's so worth it. Like it's just such a cool experience to get to swim at Iceberg's pool, and it's literally only $7. If you guys aren't there for like a beach day or a swimming day, you can also have dinner or drinks or lunch or something at Iceberg's dining room. It's not as exclusive as they make it seem. You actually can just like go in and eat there. So yeah, it is a very good option. I also don't think you can do Sydney without doing a coastal walk, so I would highly suggest doing Coogee to Bondi. I know it's another basic one, but if you're doing all the tourist stuff, it is just the one that I think most tourists do, and for good reason. So it starts at Coogee Beach, or you can start at Bondi, and you walk either way from Coogee to Bondi or from Bondi to Coogee. I think it's only 5-kilometer walk. I will double check and put it down here somewhere. It's not super far. It's not difficult. Like most of the terrain is relatively flat. There are some areas with stairs, but for the most part, I would classify it as an easy walk. And yeah, it's just so beautiful. You walk around a bunch of different beaches. You can stop, you can get an ice cream. There are also lots of really nice coastal walks. If you don't want something as touristy, you can do the Watson's Bay walk, which is around Vaucluse, which is a very nice area of Sydney. You can also do the Spit to Manly walk, which is apparently super nice, although I've never done it. That is on my Sydney bucket list personally. And another thing that I would suggest doing, and I did this with my parents when they were here, is do a cruise of the Sydney Harbour. There are a few companies I believe that do tours, but we went with Captain Cook and it was really good. I don't think you realize how big Sydney Harbour is and how much history it has, and it was just so interesting to hear like all the stories, see all the different nooks and crannies, and especially living in Sydney, you know, I hear about all these different areas. It is huge and it has so much history, so I highly suggest doing a boat tour if you can. If you're trying to save money and you don't want to pay for a boat tour, you can always just do the ferry from Circular Quay to Manly or back. So that's also a nice way to see the harbour and get those harbour bridge views and the Opera House and all of that. You just obviously won't get the history lesson behind it. In terms of food, there is so much good food in Sydney. There are obviously so many good restaurants, and I'm just gonna barely scratch the surface. I would suggest that you have brunch at Harry's Bondi, because it is just like an iconic Bondi brunch spot. It's where like all of the Instagrammers go every Saturday or Sunday. It's just like quite iconic. You could also do Bill's, but Bill's is a little bit more expensive, so it depends on your budget. I think having a nice dinner on Woolloomooloo is really nice. Again, quite pricey. So Otto's is super good. China Doll is really good. Cranides. You go to Chin Chin in Surrey Hills, and Mr. Wong in the city is so good. And then if you're looking for something that's not as high-end but also very good, I do think that everyone should see Newtown, because it's just such a different vibe to so much of Sydney. If you want a dinner there, Italian Bowl is so good. But you know what's weird is like it is good, but it's not like amazing, but it's just such like a cult classic for us here. It's basically like diner cafeteria style. It's not a fancy restaurant at all. You could literally go in sweatpants. You order at the counter, and you can order, basically it's like make your own pasta. You can mix and match and like choose what you want. I don't know, it's just such like a Newtown classic. So definitely go there if you guys can. It is also BYOB. So that's the big thing about Australia, is a lot of our restaurants here are BYOB. In Canada, it's not as big of a thing. So yeah, it's good because it kind of saves you some money. And if you are in the East and you don't want to spend $1 million, you can always try Bangkok Bites. They also have one in Newtown as well. And obviously Thai food is really good in Australia. Like they just do Thai food so well here, especially compared to Canada. And sushi. Sushi is really good too. Now I do think everyone should go north and see some of the northern beaches. So if you guys are able to make it up there, I would suggest hitting Manly, which I kind of talked about before, like the Spit to Manly walk. So definitely go see Manly Beach if you can. It's kind of like similar to Bondi because it is like a big main tourist beach, but it's just a lot quieter, and you guys will just notice a difference between like the northern beaches versus the eastern suburbs. So yeah, I would suggest seeing Manly or Balmoral Beach. Both are a little bit quieter, but such nice beaches and just definitely worth it. And if you guys are not completely against zoos, I know it's a bit of a touchy subject, I would suggest going to Taronga Zoo. They do a lot with conservation efforts, but still I understand zoos are not for everyone. But if you guys are open to that idea, definitely go see Taronga Zoo. You can take the cable car up, and it has amazing views of Sydney, and there's just so many little spots to like obviously see all the animals, but just also check out the Sydney Harbour views. It's so nice. Okay, so those are my recommendations. Now I asked my followers on Instagram to send in some recommendations, so I'll read some of them for you guys here. So someone said Quay Dessert Bar in Chippendale, Moonlight Cinema. So that's really cool. It's not on year round. I think it's only on in the summer. Yeah, they basically put on movies, I think it's once a week, in different locations all over Sydney, and they do it in like Melbourne, like all the main cities as well. Sean and I went to one time, and it started torrentially downpouring literally right as the movie started, and everybody had to leave. But you basically watch movies outside. So they have it on this huge projector, and you have these big beanbag chairs, and you can buy like pizza and popcorn, and like you can buy alcohol, things like that. So yeah, that's actually a very good recommendation. Going to Hyde Park. Hyde Park is really pretty. It's a big park in the CBD. There's also a lot of museums around Hyde Park, like around that area. So yeah, if you guys are into museums, definitely like Sydney CBD is where you'll find them. I also suggest, if you guys have the means and you have like a group of people, renting a boat for an afternoon is amazing. You can just rent boats with your friends. I think you go out for about 4 hours at a time, and it is so fun. And there's all these little coves around the harbor where boats all kind of anchor in together, and so you can like hang out with other boats and other people partying on their boats and like swim up to beaches and stuff. It's so fun. If you guys are here with like a group of people, that's a really fun way to see the harbor as well. We also go to Watson's Bay Hotel a lot. Slim's Rooftop in the city is really nice. It has city views, so you can see the Sydney skyline. It's so nice. And finally, one of my favorite places, if not my favorite place in Sydney, the Grounds of Alexandria. The Grounds is basically this big garden, and it has a main cafe where you can have brunch, and I don't think they do dinner, but they do like brunch and lunch. And it is a little pricey, but you can also eat at some of the stalls. So they have like all these candy stalls, donuts, lemonade, and then they have smoothies. You can also get alcohol. You know, they have like salads and sandwiches and stuff. So it's this big garden that has all these little market stalls and things that you can buy. They also have farm animals there, and it's just so pretty. It's literally made for Instagram. That's why people go there, is to take photos. So don't feel weird about taking photos there because everybody is doing it. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite places in all of Sydney, so you definitely have to check that out. All right, guys, well, that's it for this video. I hope it was somewhat informative for you guys. Again, like I said, if you guys have any other suggestions for people, leave them down below. I know I just barely scratched the surface of things to do in Sydney. Anyways, guys, let me know if you guys want to see any other types of videos, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye!